xAPI actually is a new specification of learning technology. Now, when I say new specification, there are so many specifications that been introduced earlier. For example, SCORM. SCORM is one of the learning specification that we normally use whenever we are publishing e-learning courses. There are LDIs, and there are so many other specifications that we normally use whenever we are developing e-learning courses. Why we use them? One of the basic reasons to have those specifications is to track learners' performance, track learners' knowledge. And these specifications helps us to do that. So xAPI is relatively a new specification. We will talk more about that. We will also talk about the implementation of this xAPI specification, but it will help you to collect data, a wide range of data, and the experience itself. So I don't want to compare SCORM with xAPI, but when it comes to SCORM, there are standard reporting that you can see, right? For example, course completion, scores, or number of slides, depending on whichever edition that you are using. So SCORM 1.2, SCORM 2004, SCORM 2004, first edition, second edition, and third edition, right? And xAPI is the edition which comes after it. One of the basic difference between them is SCORM gave you a standard reporting. xAPI can customize your reporting and user experience as well. For example, let's say if I have to click on this button and I want that button to be tracked, for that, what I can do is I can just put one xAPI statement on that button, so that button will be tracked. How it works. Now, this is one thing that we need to understand, that how xAPI works. Before I talk about how xAPI works, I want you to understand that how SCORM works, right? So let's say that this is your e-learning course, right? Now, when you publish this e-learning course as SCORM compliant, what normally happens? It will track some of the pointers that you have, and it will put it on your learning management system, right? It will give you a limited information, as I mentioned before. What are the pointers that need to be selected, and and it will give you that sort of reporting. Now, the problem is that since there is no customization, there is no extra tracking system. That was one of the biggest concern in majority of the companies. So now, if we talk about xAPI, and if I will take you through the same scenario, what xAPI does, xAPI has more data points and it tracks more activities. And then if you will see this, it will publish it as xAPI statements, right? When you publish it as xAPI statements, then you can put it into a learning record system. Why we need LRS? Now, we already have LMS. Why we need LRS? I will give you an answer on that later on. So let's talk about xAPI statements a little bit, right? I will not go into the details of xAPI statements, but I will show you how the xAPI statements looks like. So this is one of the demo, one of the prototype of the xAPI statements. What normally happens is that whenever you publish the course as xAPI and upload it somewhere, like in any aggregator that you have or LRS, this is what you see. These statements called xAPI statements, and how they work is the first thing it will take is the actor, and then the verb, like the attempt or experience or whatever function he or she did on which object, right? And obviously there are so many details that we can add into it, and so many things that we have when it comes to how to create xAPI statements. There are some platforms that support xAPI statements. For example, Domino's. Like Domino software is one of the software that supports xAPI statement. You don't have to use JavaScript or anything. All you have to do is create triggers, and it will create the statements as well, which is one of the best thing. Articulate Storyline and Adobe Captivate, they kind of support xAPI in a sense, like, yes, they will give you the output of xAPI, but if you literally have to create or customize your own statements, for that, what you have to do is you have to add some JavaScript into it. Perfect. So now the question is why xAPI is needed, right? Why we need xAPI. So let's say that this is your e-learning course. In the e-learning course, what happens is that when you publish an e-learning course, it will go to xAPI, it will create xAPI statements, and those xAPI statements will go to LRS, right? Now, the beauty of the LRS, and when it comes to comparing LRSs with LMSs, is LRS is just like a centralized systems of all the other systems. So when I say centralized systems of all the other systems, I mean that this particular system can communicate with other systems like CRM, like ERP systems. And that is something which is really important when it comes to implementing xAPI, because right now what is happening is we have SCOM course. When we upload SCOM course in LMS, we get the data, and now we have another system. In the other system, what we normally do, we grab the data from there, take that data from LMS, and then start comparing it. LRS does it by itself, right? It will create a dashboard for you. It will track all these statements coming from different platforms for you, and you can just get one aggregated data that you want, which is very, very important, because right now we have learning platforms at one place, and then we have ERP systems and all those kind of things as one place. So let's say that you have e-learning course that has all the triggers with xAPI statements, right? You upload that course on the LRS, and then you are getting data, the performance data from different platforms like Salesforce, SAP, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then you have to compare the data to analyze the performance of that learner. So I'm a learner. I come to the company, I take some XAPI courses, right? And where we say Kirkpatrick level 1 and level 2, I took the training, it's done, right? Now, after 3 months, I'm on the job and I'm working. Now you have to evaluate my performance based on what I learned from the training and what I actually have implemented in the in my job. So to do that job analysis, that would help you when you have one LRS that can give you the data, sufficient data. For example, Salesforce, in the Salesforce, you have customer support module. And in the customer support, you just wanted to check my NPS, net promoting score. You can do that. But is it going good? Is it not going good? Um, what happened what was my NPS score before the training? What is my NPS score after the training? So that sort of analysis, like performance based analysis, can be done when you have LRS. Perfect. So let's move on. Now, if you have noticed before you signing up for this webinar, you might have noticed that I have shared one video where you can see that I'm using an LMS and accessing the course from the LMS, and it will also give me xAPI statements. That was the biggest question mark when it comes to how LMS and LRS both work together. Like people were asking so many questions, especially when you go to the conferences, you will see that people are like bit concerned about that particular part. Like, do I have to have LMS, or or maybe do I have to request LRS separately? To answer that question, I came up with one strategy that would actually help whether you have LMS or not, or whether you want to have LRS, and it will help both worlds. So what I did technically, before I jump into the demo, I would like to show you what I did actually. I have this xAPI course, right? I published it as xAPI, right? And then I used one aggregator for xAPI statement. That aggregator could be SCOM Cloud, right? So I uploaded my course, xAPI course on SCOM Cloud, and then with the help of uploading the the course in SCOM Cloud, it can also give you SCOM 1.2 or whatever format you need. So now you have xAPI course that was uploaded in SCOM Cloud, and now you are getting a SCOM version from this aggregator. What I did was I uploaded this SCOM 1.2 into my LMS. Now, what is happening is that if you see this, so what happening is now somebody who is accessing, like for example, my learner is accessing the content in xAPI. What happening is that he will access the course from here. That data will go to aggregator. It will separate the data like SCOM data and xAPI statements. xAPI statements will come over here, right, in the LRS, and the SCOM data will go back. So let's say that if learner wants to see whether he completed the course or not, or whether what score he get. So that particular information go back to LRS, and the xAPI statements will go to LRSs. Now, what I will do is I will I will share my other screen with you. So this is the Moodle, a basic Moodle that I have installed on my domain. And what I did over here is I have uploaded the package. The package is up there. Now, so this is one of the users, Komal Samana. Now, what I did was, if you will see, the last access of the course is never, right? So what we will do is we will try to access that particular course from her profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as. So now this is the course. You can see the check mark is not there. It means that it's not been accessed, not completed. And I will try to access this course from here. So now if you will see, I'm starting my quiz. So this particular module has like 5 questions. And on the results slide, what I did was I used some xAPI statements, right? So continue. So I got 100%. And now if I will close it and exit this activity, it says that I have completed my attempt. So all the data, everything that I have as an SCOM compliant, it will work as is. If I will see my dashboard, it says yes, I'm 100%. I have completed 100%. And if I want to see the grades, right, that whether these things are appearing on my LMS or not, the grades are coming or not, what I can do is I can just click over here, and if you see, it shows everything what I need. Validate that. What I can do is I'm opening up SCOM Cloud, log in myself in. Now, if you see over here, it says, this was done today, and you can see all the statements coming over here. It means that it's working absolutely fine. And it give you lots of information. Like, one thing that I would recommend, if you are planning to implement or if you are planning to use xAPI, you will be given, it can track everything. And sometimes you don't want everything. So you have to be very specific about the things that you will be needing for the future, right? For example, let me give you an example. There was one project that I was doing with one of my clients, and it was on skill-based assessments. The idea was that how we can have one big articulate storyline file that has all the sub-skills, right? And each sub-skill has different result slides. Now, in simple SCOM version of it will never give me the results of each and every scene, right? Of each and every instance. For that, I think xAPI would be the best option because now I don't want to create multiple storyline files. I just want everything to be done in one storyline file. One storyline file, and let's say that if I have 5 sub skills, I can get those 5 sub skills results on my data. So that was one of the requirement, one of the key requirement. So I can do the pre and post assessments whenever I'm doing the skill-based assessments as well. So new hire, pre-assessment, it will give me the knowledge. Okay, this is the knowledge he already has. Take my training, and once he or she has taken the training, he or she will go to post-assessments, and then I can compare. Okay, before the training, this is the score for each and every skill and sub-skills, and after the training, this is the score he or she has um, um, after the training. So if you see this PowerPoint, and that's why I just wanted to show you the overall picture so it will give you a better idea how I did that. So what I did was, ISKCON Cloud is one of the aggregator. What I did was I published my course in Articulate Storyline, and then I have uploaded my course in this aggregator, right? This aggregator gives me this com file that I uploaded in the learning management system, right? And the same xAPI file, is in here, but this aggregator has a feature called statement forwarding. You can forward all the statements to the LRSs, right? So it will give you all the statements that are going on, and it will give you all the tracking information that is coming from this aggregator. Thank you so much for joining me in this webinar. If you have any questions or if you want to ask any questions later on, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much.